here's the deal. The deal is the UVM lacrosse goalie goes coast to coast. So let us transition into talking about some lacrosse tonight. And that is here. All right. So if you guys saw this replay, or if you actually saw this game, go ahead and leave a comment. A lot of people just saw the Instagram clip, but actually, I went back to check out the game. This was at Duke, and yeah, it's pretty cool. It was early in the game, and so what I'll just play this through once, and then you guys can take a look, and then we'll talk about it. So ball is top left, just kind of came down on somewhat of a slow clear, a lazy clear. Let me get that logo out of the way because that looks kind of ugly. Where is it? Boink. There we go. That's better. All right, here you go. Playing it live. Ball's top left. This midi tries to make this ill-conceived pass, or this attackman makes this little pass in there, gets stripped, and the goalie goes. All right. And the goalie doesn't stop. I love it. Okay. There's so many things about this clip that I love, and we'll show the other angle on it just live, and then we'll talk about it. But you know, as much as I like, I have a lot of respect for Coach Danowski, and I have a lot of respect for, the coaches that have been coaching the sport for a long time. I question some things, and on this particular play, there's about 12 things I question. But the goalie leaving the cage and going downfield is not something that I question whatsoever. All right, so like if we're going to argue that equipment makes goalies slow and it makes them hot and they can't run, well then all right, run. Run. And so the commentary on this clip, by the way, which is really kind of fascinating, is the UVM coach. And the UVM coach actually is a Camp Dudley graduate. So shout out to Camp Dudley in Westport, New York, where I'm camper 13373. I don't know what the UVM coach's number is. He's a little younger than me, but he's a Dudley grad as well. So if we're going to argue for goalies, being athletic or running down the field, the commentary about this goalie is that Ryan Cornell is the best athlete on this team, right? So, so for some of you, your goalie is not the most athletic, and they migrate in the cage. That's okay. They can come to that. For other kids, they're the most athletic kid. And Ryan Cornell is from Darien, Connecticut. Darien has a phenomenal lacrosse program. And they've had a great program for a really long time. Darien's a pretty posh neighborhood. Lacrosse is a pretty big sport there, and which is super cool. And but this goalie is considered one of the best athlete on his team at UVM, right? So a couple things. Let's just think about how this sets up for a second. So this is an even strength play. So as a goalie, your goalie should be knowing what the numbers are. Your goalie should be knowing who's where and how is the offense setting up, and just the minimally your goalie should know hey, is there a kid behind me? Is there a player at X? Okay, they should know where's the offense going, what's happening here. And it's because one of the things that comes out of this play is right here, there's a switch. Okay. Now, the Duke clear, which I can't stand, is kind of I think it's kind of designed to create this sort of switch in the offensive zone. And then now the long pole, this is an attackman, and the long pole is switching, and the midi now is lost, and this midi doesn't know what the hell he's doing. This midi right here doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And so 5 just runs through. And it's kind of ugly, and the attackman's looking for a little thing here. But the goalie is should be processing all of that as the ball is coming down the field, right? And even if your goalie doesn't understand what that means just yet, just having them take a quick look and knowing what formation are they in? Is it a 2-3-1? Is it a 1-4-1? Is it a 2-2-2? And just having them call that out to their team, even if the team doesn't know what the hell that means, just defensively, it just kind of helps the goalie understand spacing, and it's the beginnings of that concept. So so as this play goes through, right? So 5 cuts through, and now there's the switch. and which is it's just really poor. Um, the and there's probably a late sub coming in from the box. The goalie here knows that there's a big. He's probably, if you're an athletic goalie and you like to run, you're already looking for these opportunities, right? So there's a big gap here. There's a big gap here, and so you're kind of processing that as a goalie, going like, "Hey, if I'm one of the fastest kids in the field, I might be able to take advantage of this." So sure enough, this ball gets stripped here, right? So the shot actually doesn't even happen. I'm not a fan of this defender like trying to get the stick in front of the like. Just lead with a freaking poke check and skewer this guy like a shish kebab. All right. Um, so the ball pops through and off the goalie goes. No hesitation. Goalie's gone. And I love this. I love this. Your goalie, you should think of your goalie like a midi in the crease. And for coaches out there who, if you happen to listen to me saying this, if you are trying to tell your goalie to stay in the cage, especially young ages, you are not doing you're not coaching, in my opinion. You're not coaching correctly. You're not encouraging risk taking. You're not encouraging kids to learn. You're just stifling them, and that's not cool, man. Like, not cool at all. So off this goalie goes, right, and now he's immediately outrun his entire team. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's the goalie. He's totally outrun his entire team right now. But he's also outrun 1, 2, 3 Duke players. And what he may or may not know is that the two players that are just coming into they're going to come into view right here. This is an attackman and this is an attackman. And with all due respect to Coach Danowski, what drives me nuts here is that as the goalie continues to run, these two attackmen get stuck at the midfield stripe. Like, really? Like, come on. These two attackmen should be continuing to go with this goalie, or at least one of them should, because what everybody, and this is where the opportunity, the lacrosse goalie of the future is going, and this is an example of what the lacrosse goalie of the future can and can't do, or can and should do. By the way, I believe that this goalie can still run as fast if they're padded, protected down low, but I won't get into that right now. But the idea here is that the goalie keeps going. All right. So he makes right here, he makes a pass to this attackman. All right. So right now he's given the ball up into a 3-on-3. Right. So there is down here somewhere, there's 3 attackmen and 3 long poles. Well, these two Duke attackmen have stopped to stay on sides, which is stupid because they're covered for on sides back here. They could keep going, right? And so the goalie makes an early pass, but then, like, what I always tell you guys is just treat your goalie like a midi, right? Would you have a midi stop here? No. The goalie keeps on going, and this is awesome. No hesitation whatsoever. He's like, I'm still going. And now what do we have? We got a 4-on-3. We got a 4-on-3. Now, I know this happened at the beginning of the game. This is like the 2 minutes left in the first first quarter, 2:36 left in the first quarter. In terms of risk taking, sometimes people get their panties in a bunch and they think like, "Oh, well, the goalie shouldn't run out if the game's on the line." Like, no. No, like, play offensively and play defensively. It doesn't, like, just go for it. So down the field the goalie goes. Now, what's cool in a fast break situation is that there's opportunities here, right? There's opportunities here in terms of I'm not going to talk about the defensive side of this right now for Duke right now, because there's just too much to talk about. But the idea here is that the goalie still going, this is a fast break. This is a legit fast break, and it's troublesome. Okay. Now, as long as this UVM guy doesn't take himself too far out of the play, but we're good. All right. So, in terms of slides, right, because the goalie keeps going, he's going to get the ball back at about 20 yards, or he's going to catch it about 20, maybe 18. And now here, he's actually becomes a shooting threat if he can rip it. Now, Duke goalie, I'm not a fan. I know he's like got 600 and some odd bazillion saves, but one of the reasons why your goalie makes a lot of saves is because your defense isn't that good. Okay, I'll just say it, right? I'll just say it. So UVM goalie Ryan comes in and catches that ball and then draws the slide. You know, draws the slide. And yeah, and then this guy rips it from about 10 yards, low to high. And again, in my opinion, the Duke goal is just way too deep, and the move to this ball is one of it's not very aggressive. It's like when a goalie ends up going backwards like this, there's no efficiency in that movement whatsoever. Like if you're doing like a line, if you're actually just drawing out a line of where this ball is going and the move of the stick to that space, it's like a 4-inch move, right? It's not like 24 inches. Okay. So I just love this. We'll just go on the other angle here and you'll see the gap in the UVM, the defensive half, right? But listen, when your goalie can do this, okay? So here's the gap, right? Here's the gap. When your goalie can do this, the offense has to think twice about the shots that they take and the passes that they make, because if they drop them, they're in trouble. So here he goes there, and he just sees that big read, and that big gap, and there he goes. Now he's looking here. He's like, okay, I got to beat you. And so that's the first look, is like, I got to beat you. And then right about here, he knows, like, okay, I've beaten you. And now he's like, oh, okay, now I got to beat you. And then it's a little juke move, right? And then these two guys stop, which is inefficiency by biblical proportions, right? There's the pass, the attack. Now it's a 3-on-3. But I can tell by the attack here, by the way he's moving, that he knows his goalie's still coming. Like right there, like he doesn't, if he knows it's a 3-on-3, he's probably gonna like pull this out. But right here, because they know the goalie's on the way, they're still pressing this. They're still pressing this. And there he is. He's waiting. He's waiting. He's waiting. Draw the D. And he doesn't even do a great job of drawing the D, but whatever. There he goes. Feed, and a rip. Stick side high on the Duke goalie. Like, come on. Like, let's be real. To be honest, what should have happened here, in my opinion, is this Duke goalie should have been able to make this save, hit that guy, and just gone right down their throats the other way, right? But the Duke goalie really kind of let this one down, in my opinion. All right, so yeah, kudos to the UVM goalie. This is sweet. Watch the game, started off awesome, then Duke stormed back. Looked like UVM defense was gassed. Yeah, it's early. I don't know for Duke versus UVM. I mean, it's probably been cold up in Burlington. I don't know, but lacrosse to me, this is just a side story. Lacrosse to me is a spring summer sport. It's not a good cold weather sport. I don't like it in the snow. I don't like it in the cold. And I think that can affect the team. So yeah. So anyway, I was so psyched to see this. For coaches who are listening, treat not just your goalie, but your entire defense as like, hey, when we get the ball, we are now all on offense. And that midfield stripe, a lot of coaches treat that midfield stripe like it's a gate only for the middies. And so then if you got an attackman up there or a long pole, they get close to that midfield stripe with a goalie, and they're going like, should I? What? Am I going to be offside? What? Wait. No, the ball carrier always has priority, and the rest of the team's got to figure out who's the slow guy, right, or girl, and let's stay on sides, right? And because then we can make something happen. Otherwise, like coaches that treat it like, and some defense or attackmen, they don't like to run, and they don't want that. But you got to teach them how to run, and you got to basically take that midfield stripe and not make it a gate, just make it like something that, hey, if we can take advantage of this, like we can make some serious stuff happen, and we can score, right? And we can score. And yeah, and to whoever wrote that, Sean Ciotti, the thing about conditioning, conditioning is easy to fix, right? Conditioning comes, right? So if UVM's, if they're out of shape for whatever reason, that's going to change. And if they can do this type of stuff for a whole game, let's go. Especially a goalie, right? Like a goalie, goalie has if they're athletic like this, and they can have reserves, right? And frozen lacrosse ball, ouch, exactly. Hey, Christine Lammers, I see you. And then Sean writes, when I saw this live, I knew we'd see it on Wednesday night breakdown. There you go. I tried. It took some it took some scrambling on my end, but I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Frozen lacrosse ball, ouch, yes. Hey, Bob McGee, I see you, buddy. You know what's good for conditioning, oddly enough? Youth football. True. Yeah. I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of football as a team. So I never played it. I love the sport. I don't like the concussions, but in terms of like team and in terms of conditioning, and you do this and I'm gonna do this. Like there's nothing really better, in my opinion. Hockey sometimes, but football is the ultimate team sport. But like I said, without the concussions. All right, good stuff. Yeah. So all right, I hope you like that, guys. That was a fun one. All right, guys, thanks for watching and thanks for listening wherever you are. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you like this, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. When you're ready, head on over to lacrossegoalieuniversity.com/coaching so I can work with you and your goalie. And while you're at it, check out athletespecific.com to learn more about mental performance and high performance. You may not know this, but I work with athletes in a variety of sports. Lacrosse is my love, but man, I love athletes and the families who support them. So head on over to athletespecific.com, check it out. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.